Hello, hello, and welcome to another revolutionary conversation. I am joined, delighted to be divinely connected to my mentor and soul sister, Janel Willette. Welcome, Janelle.
Thank you. Always a joy to dive into some revolutionary jewels.
I love that pun. I'm so excited to be here with all of you. Thanks for joining us, whether you're listening or watching. It's such a blessing to be able to share and co create, just knowing that you're here. Today's conversation is a big one. And I'm so excited to see how it all plays out because we're talking about the power of why, of finding our why, of being in our why, of living our why, accessing the why that makes us cry, just the power of that word and what it means. And it was actually sparked, a while ago, but Janelle yesterday sent me a picture of a car with a bumper sticker. And on the bumper sticker, it was just, or WHY question mark. That's all it was. I was like, this is it.
Right. And that's exactly it. Because if you really are true to asking that question, the quest of your why takes you right to the center, bullseye. So it's to be so audacious and courageous to keep asking ourselves the why to ourselves. It helps us discern, even like, why am I doing this? So that if you know you need to do something, whether it's a chore or a part of your life that you don't really love to do, or even your work, there's a deeper reason. And when you can connect to that deeper reason, it's threaded to the heart and soul of your own being, your own mandala. Because oftentimes, what we're doing in life is not to get something done or to get something. It's how we develop, how we evolve, and how we interconnect and create this relationship of remembering who we are and what this all is about. Something greater than the sum of its parts. So that's why we want to keep peeling back and ask questions why. It's not necessarily to be discerning of not to do something, but if you're meant to do that, let yourself be anchored in the greatest reason why you're doing it. Because in everything, there is obviously the silver lining as we speak, right? So when
Mm.
you're doing something, I was just volunteering in the kitchen and washing gross dishes and pots and pans. And I was like, wow, this really inoculates preference because it wasn't the kind of volunteer work that I was doing, cutting strawberries and arranging blueberries and the whole fruit bar. And so I saw myself with this preference. And I said, well, what am I going to do with myself here? There's obviously a juicy reason that I need to be here scrubbing dirty pans and dishes. And what is that why? It's because I have such a strong preference not to like that. And that affects the spectrum in my life when I have certain preferences that don't enrich sort of the grit along with the bliss.
Mm. And that propensity to want to do one thing and not do another thing, to be repelled by one thing and attracted to other, like the polarity. We all know that. We all feel that in our beings, right? It's like it's way nicer to have a warm shower than a cold shower. Having a warm shower is a completely different experience than a cold shower. And not to say that we don't have the cold shower, but there's a why behind it. When we have the cold shower, we're not just doing it because that's what our body loves. And I think that brings into context and play of the fact that the why is often something we ask outside of us. Like, why is this happening to me? It's
Mhm.
like we're asking it out. And the power of actually asking ourselves the why, of actually being truthful with ourselves. And that's the why that we're talking about here. And that's where the dive is. And I say like the why dive for fun. I'll often say, well, did you do a why dive with that? Like, I'm doing this thing. Okay, why am I doing this thing? So let's say like your dishes experience. It's like, okay, why am I loading the dishwasher right now? Because I only have 10 minutes and I should be doing a whole bunch of other things. Why dishwasher now? It's like, oh, because I feel like other people are expecting me to do this and I'm obligated because this is something that other people need. It's like, okay, let's go a little bit deeper. And you ask yourself the why does it matter that I'm meeting everybody else's expectations? Oh, and then, oh, that's because of this. Well, why? Right. And then till you get to those like deeper levels where you go, oh, I truly don't think I have worth and value unless I do this thing. Right. That's like you said, that getting to the center of your own why. And when we're asking it out here, it's like nebulous. But when we ask a why inside, it gets, the levels of the gobstopper. It goes to the tiniest little circle in the middle. And you go, wow, this is the part that wanted to be attention.
Right. And the power of preference is a strong one for all of us. I mean, we catch ourselves in it all the time, and I think it's really part of the beautiful polarity and opposite of life. But what's our relationship with preference and resistance? And so why is a great question on both ends. It's like the two parentheses that merge and come together and see each other, right? Why am I preferring this so much and spend all my extra time on social media? And then all of a sudden I've got 5 minutes left for what I really need to do, right? So you wake up in the morning and you don't really have a routine. So you're on social media and then you've got 7 minutes to shit, shower, and shave. And you haven't spent time finding out why you're walking out the door to do what you need to do. So, in a way, you haven't really had that inner contemplation of what moves you to do what it is for you to do in life. Because when we can find that place inside ourselves, that why, it really is a reflection of what makes us who we are, and that what I would call the sacred yearning. Because we all want to be seen, heard, loved, valued, and respected. And if we're not getting that and drawing that in, if there's not a source in our life, then we go out into life, even on whatever we post on social media. If we're not getting it authentically and in a real true way, we find ourselves looking for it externally. So you walked out the door and now because you didn't get filled up with your own why and your own presence and your own deep sense of empowerment of what empowers you, then we find ourselves grappling out in the world, looking for it or rejecting, reflecting what we don't like. So the internal why, 5 layers of that why. What makes you you? What is it you really want? Right? I really want to get a new car because then I don't have to do any mechanical work. And then I don't have to this, or because of status, or all these questions. But you take it layer by layer by layer by layer. Because then I will know that I can feel that level of equilibrium and contentment. Because even if you think it's out there, and when I get that yearning, that the origin of that yearning started in here. So that's why the practice of this why can really take you full circle before you've led your life onto detours. Because sooner or later you're going to come back and you're going, oh my gosh, what was I doing? Or you've spent this amount of time and energy, or maybe a monetary investment. And if you haven't met your own why, right? And I remember doing this with a job that seemed like a great opportunity, and it was in New York City, and it was for a big firm, and it was a real growth opportunity. And so I looked at all those variables, and that's what at that moment in my life I was valuing. 1 month at the job, I was begging to leave because it didn't match my internal why of what made me me.
And that, when you say that, Janelle, that incongruency,
Yeah.
when the reason you're doing something doesn't match who you are. And I've had this happen in my life. And I'm sure lots of people listening feel this as well. That time when they thought, oh, this is great on paper, right? Or like this person looks amazing, in their profile. But in real life, yes, they're amazing, but they're not the right fit. They don't match my why. And it's funny because I remember doing this business. It was business, but it was like friends getting together and like just asking each other questions. And it's really powerful. And maybe you've had this experience too, Janelle, and people listening, where you had somebody else ask you the why. So they ask you a question and you answer, and then they ask you why, and then they ask you why, and then you ask you why. And it's beautiful, but it's revealing because it gets to a certain point of discomfort where, for me anyways, I was like, well, why do you want to know why again? Like now I have to go deeper. I don't like going that deep, right? Like, oh, I have to explain myself further. Oh, this is uncomfortable because, like you said, it could be because I feel like I'm more successful or because there's status. And then there's that level of blanketed guilt or shame about feeling that way or thinking that thing, or like all of those uncoverings. We often just don't let ourselves go that deep, or we don't go that deep on ourselves, but we do with other people if instigated into that. And there is a power to being held and supported on the journey to get there, because it's not always easy to uncover our own whys until we truly, honestly want to hear them.
Right. And oftentimes it's at a time when there's some transition in our life, whether it's through a job or a relationship transition, something's ending, something's beginning, and and then all of a sudden we're stuck with either a blank canvas, or there's something huge that's shifting outside of our world, and we have to then acclimate to that. And that's a steep growth edge as well. But a lot of times, if we stay with ourselves and we just maintain a fluid organic equilibrium where we begin to stay more true to our own selves, where you recognize, wow, okay, this job is definitely not the job I would choose, but it affords me the lifestyle that I really truly enjoy. So on the weekends, I can take those 2 or 3 days and really sink into what truly meets my why internally. So in a way, it's not to change things, but it's to change how we navigate our trajectory. Because when we can have inner agreement with ourselves by meeting ourselves and having this introspection, this conversation, you actually can arrive at peace within the situations and circumstances that are presented.
Mm. And when you
And
ask yourself, sorry, go ahead.
and then of course you can savor your free time more, to realize this is my time to like refuel and on to really embark on something that really matters. And then you actually can find that you're very ready to go out in the world and do what it is you need to do, because you have that understanding inside yourself of the balanced life. And this is putting in my time. And even though I don't enjoy it, it doesn't resonate for me, you can really look at it just like scrubbing the dish pans. I could find some peace in that and going, wow, this is a really great exercise for me. It takes that courage and that audacious um, motivation inside ourselves to want more for ourselves.
Yeah. And with that inventory, like you said, of going, now I know this job that I'm at, but this is the why, this is the reason that I'm doing it. Right? Then there's a clarity behind it. It's not about it being right or wrong, because we often try to put things into categories and go, well, this must be wrong then. I must need to do it this way. It's like, if you can just be present with your whys, and even just from a day-to-day routine standpoint, even the most mundane pieces will actually be quite revealing. And let alone when you look at like your whole lifestyle, just looking at those little tiny increments, um, both the macro and the micro on both poles, the injection of the why can be so, so potent.
Why not ask why? A lot of times we don't ask ourselves the why because we're not prepared to tell ourselves the truth or to recognize something we've been avoiding. And if we've been avoiding or suppressing something, then that stirs and jostles inside ourselves. And as much as we seek equilibrium and equanimity, what we go to sleep to during the day keeps us up at night. So we want to really venture into the world of the day to live and be lived and have a real contemplative and, I would say, intentional way of living the life that we're served. Because sometimes the greatest challenges, I mean, I remember a time in my life where, I really needed to create some monetary, foundation. And so I was working 3 jobs and I knew it was temporary. And I said, well, this is really building character. And it really helped me to value earning money, the amount of work that was required to make the money, and what that did beyond earning money was create character. To show up for myself in that way and not step away from being my best self just because I had to do more quantity. But how can this great challenge build character and internal strength within myself so that when life unfolds into the next challenge, I know I've built this internal gravitas that I can trust and rely on. And even when you're going out into life and you've done this, you feel more prepared for life because of the way that we've met ourselves in the ebbs and the flow, the high and the lows. And that's really what makes us who we are. Because it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with what happens to us. And that's when the why comes in and go, whoa, there's nothing I can do right now to change the, the situation, the circumstances, the way that my schedule is set up. I know a lot of people need to move to a location because of their spouse. Oh, okay, so you're in the middle of Timbuktu, and it's like, whoa, so you've got 2 years there. Well, there's a journey waiting for you to be unraveled and to be opened up. Maybe a journey internally that you can discover, because there's a gift in it all. If we just keep peeling back, what's here for me? What's the gift that life is offering me?
And there's something to be said that's so powerful about that trust that we have in ourselves, that we build in ourselves, and just trusting in that journey and the unfolding that uh, will just reveal itself when we lean into it and trust it. And that something is that we're all connected. So you can feel that in someone else when they have that trust in themselves. It's it exudes off of them, and you can't not be pulled into that or want more of that or want to find that for yourself when you're in the presence of that. So I'd love to hear, Janelle, maybe you have something that you can share with the people who are listening and watching here today. What would be a great routine, or how could they start tuning into their why so that they could really, dig into the richness of what we're implying here of the value and the jewels within the why?
Right. Yeah, that's a great one. Because if we can make it practical and functional and then weave it into our lives, I think then it becomes a way to live um, that that inner jewel. And so, you know what I would do, and that I've done several times, and I keep asking the questions of what brings me my life, my own personal, what gives me meaning, what gives me my own value, like what do I value, and purpose, meaning, value, and purpose. Because when you find meaning, value, and purpose, and you know that you're embarking on something that gives you that, the external situations and circumstances and opportunities actually flow in some beautiful choreography for you to meet yourself, where when you are aligned with internal meaning, value, and purpose, you also see things differently, you meet life differently, and the people around you organize differently. And so there's always something here for you because you're embarking on meaning, value, and purpose. And that also implies a balance of giving and being given.
And as you say that too, Janelle, it's almost as if we have that to bounce up against every time we're like, something's not right here, or why is this not working, or why does this feel so weird? And go, oh, wait a second, is this actually aligned with my meaning and value and purpose? Because we'll all obviously have different answers to that question, but it gives it, yeah, it gives it that reflection surface that isn't there if we put absolutely no thought into it, right? Then we go, oh, I don't know why we're not liking this, but okay, it's almost like it's too vague versus going, oh, wait a second, if I check this against this, which I know to be true because I put this energy and attention into it, it's like rechecking the recipe. Did I put enough of I put everything that I needed to within this for all the ingredients to make this recipe? It's like we have to make our own recipe first, and then we can refer back to it. Otherwise, we're just kind of letting things, come about versus like living our life by design.
Right. So you matched your own internal meaning, value, purpose, and you keep reflecting life back onto that. And then what ends up happening is you have this internal confidence and steadiness in your own self because there's that congruence with who you are and what you're doing and how you're doing what you're doing. That naturally flows from you. And then that is flow because instead of resisting something, you're seeing the underlying meaning and value that it can serve you with instead of let me just get through this. Oh, utilize it.
Mm, I love that because it actually helps you to see the richness in an entirely different way because you've already invested the attention in advance to be able to hold yourself to it, right? It's kind of like if we were my future self and my past self, it's like, oh, my past self has already thought of this, and now I've got this. I can use this because I've already invested energy and attention into it and know and trust it that I can lean in. It's like supporting yourself from a different timeline of sorts.
Mm.
Well, with that, there's so much richness and so much to jump into and play with. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, Janelle, before we end this beautiful revolutionary conversation?
I think remembering that your why is an dynamism. It's an action. It's an adventure. It's alive. It's what's waiting for you to live. It's not just in your mind. It can even be the internal activator that sets you on fire with your own life. It's the greatest thing you can possibly do is fall in love with your life.
I
So
love that.
you do that, and you will feel it, and so will everyone in the world.
And I imagine a world where we all fall in love with our life.
Yeah,
Wow,
let's do
more
it.
of that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and looking forward to seeing you at the next revolutionary conversation. If this really speaks to you as well, we have a bi-weekly mastermind. So every 2 months, or every 2 weeks, we jump in and we do this together as a community and we weave our gold. We'd love to have you with us, as well as any comments you have or any ideas you'd love to share about future revolutionary conversations. We look forward to hearing from you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, everyone.
What a joy.
Why?